But South Florida sports fans are not happy at all that two of the biggest stars in town have dropped strong hints that they want out of South Florida. Miami Dolphins star receiver Tyreek Hill vented about wanting out after the Dolphins missed the playoffs. Now, Fins general manager Chris Greer says Hill has not formally asked to be traded, so we'll see where that story actually lands. However, things between the Heat and Jimmy Butler seem much more fractured. An artist in Wynwood updated his Jimmy Butler mural after hearing about the latest flap between the star player and the team. Butler is in the midst of a 7-game suspension after publicly doubting that he could regain his basketball joy by continuing to play for the Heat. The artist who changed the mural tells CBS Miami why this touched a nerve.
The average person has to work their job and feed their family, and so people don't get the opportunity to just quit. And so that touched me in the wrong way. That was more than just basketball. It's integrity.
Well, after these big stories broke, I sat down with CBS Miami sports anchor Mike Cunha for a deep dive on these two unhappy stars. All right, joining me now is sports anchor Mike Cunha. Not the kind of news that sports fans here in South Florida want to hear, that two of the biggest stars might want to book out of town. So I'm going to ask you questions on the opposite side of the spectrum, Mike. Okay. First question, are both these guys, Tyreek Hill and Jimmy Butler, being crybabies?
Crybabies, divas, I don't know. It's definitely not in the water, because they both have said that they both love living here in Miami. So it's not the city of Miami. It's certainly not the state of Florida, because everyone knows that no income tax, they got to love being here. But this is something that's kind of par for the course for both of them. And let me explain. Jimmy Butler, he has figured his way out of town in a number of different teams, most notably Minnesota, forced his way out of there.
Chicago.
He wasn't happy in Chicago. Philly. That's why he got traded to Minnesota. And then Philly, they didn't want to give him the big contract he wanted. And that's how he ends up here in Miami. So this is kind of what Jimmy Butler does. I was surprised by it because we asked him when he arrived here, do you think this is your last stop? He said yes. Everything looked like he was breaking that way. All the finals appearances, Eastern Conference finals appearances.
So why the divorce?
He wanted more money. He's an aging superstar. He's not 29 anymore. He's not 28. He's getting up there. He's 35. We're a month away now from the trade deadline, so the Heat have to figure out something to move him. And in terms of Tyreek Hill, he wanted more money from the Chiefs, didn't get it. He gets traded to Miami. He got more money with the Dolphins, but what we saw this year was his production take a huge dive. You got to remember, this was the player who was voted the #1 player in the NFL
by his peers
coming into the season. He might not even sniff the top 20 this year because of his numbers taking a dip.
So then let me flip it around and ask the question the other way. Have the franchises let these guys down? And I'm thinking, especially in terms of Jimmy Butler, who had a pretty heavy lift, taking a team full of guys who frankly were pretty unheralded to the NBA Finals. I
would say yes for the Heat, but let's look at the track record for Pat Riley. He's the guy, and maybe the only guy right now in Miami not making an emotional decision. He came out and said, look, we're not trading Jimmy Butler. He was going to keep him here. And then it just got worse and worse and unsustainable. We saw him move on from Dwayne Wade. We saw him move on from Shaq. We saw him move on from Zoe. All these guys, as they got up in age. Pat Riley, you got to believe he's trying to do the best thing for the organization. Again, do you want to pay Jimmy Butler $50-60 million when he's 37, or do you want to start the rebuild now and see if you could build around Bam and Tyler Hero? And when it comes to Tyreek Hill, it's just, I think the offense changed. It's not that high explosive offense. They've all said it. Even Tyreek Hill said it. Mike McDaniel alluded to it being sort of his idea. Maybe these long, drawn-out drives, more ball control, game control, not just to hit you over the head. That's how you win in December. They didn't win that in December. They didn't win in January. Now Tyreek Hill's not happy. To me, if you had to ask me today what I thought would happen, I think the Tyreek Hill Miami Dolphin experiment is over.